Hey, I heard you wanted some more Cathay replays, so here's one from Olaf the Moose here, and he has got a build that is quite the build, I must say. It's got 5 peasant archers, including the bandits of the Silver Road here, which is a nice regiment of renown. I honestly think, what do they have? Shields, flaming damage, a little bit of flammable, quite nice. We've also got a Zhangu War Drum here to help support all of this, give it some nice harmony buffs and all the other, leadership, immunopsychology, melee attack, all that stuff. It's going to be, 5 halberds, 4 peasant long spears, I believe, for the infantry, and then some jade lancers, just a couple of them. Yuan Bo leads the way. We do have a metal mage here, who's just got Plague of Rust. Definitely been seeing this, it's always been good, since Warhammer 1, literally. But it's an excellent way to make these non-AP ranged units perform basically like AP ranged units, which is quite nice. Facing off against the vampire counts, we do see Flock of Doom coming in, which means we got a Von Karstein Vampire Lord. Honestly, given how strong Flock of Doom is right now, I'm surprised I haven't seen this more, but yeah, this is definitely an option you can do. It's not choosing to spend your magic on healing, but instead on damage, which can be equally as valuable, potentially. But 4 of our guys here in the Vanguard. We've got a White King as well, and it looks like a bunch of zombies and some skeleton warriors, the Sternsmen, Crypt Horrors, and a Necromancer on a corpse cart. What is that, Unholy Lodestone? Yep, okay. It's a Vampire Counts build, checks a lot of boxes, got a lot of good stuff going on, but let's see how he's going to play it. In fact, it is Conquest, so it looks like, yeah, Olaf here going to go take the objective and start accruing those sweet victory points. And continue taking some Flocks of Doom in the meantime. So I'm sensing a pattern here. Maybe we'll see a little kind of spell-kiting behavior a little bit from the Vampire Counts. So we're going to pop this into fast forward as a sort of long early game does its thing. Ooh, we are going to see a net, though, from Yuan Bo, who definitely has that, along with, that's the only spell, actually. And he's going to throw some fire here. Plague of Rust. You can see also active. Nice 69. Leaves 1 armor on the Vampire Count Lord, the Von Karstein Lord. And he takes a little bit of bow shots here. Nothing too crazy. But Cathay's got to be careful. Got to make sure to cover smartly with these Lancers. From the perspective of the Vampire Counts, Vargheiss could just come in and try and nuke these Lancers directly. That might be the most effective way to kind of start peeling this thing apart, but right now, they're basically just trading, right? Trading a little bit of value on the Karstein Lord, who can heal, of course, and trying to just out-trade value on all these peasant archers, right? And potentially could try and fly over and get some zombie summons as well, but I think Vampire's just saving as much as possible for Flock of Doom at this point. Infantry force is still kind of advancing, kind of taking its sweet time going up and around here. Yeah, it is Conquest, so he doesn't have the most time in the world, but does have some time to try and execute whatever plan's going to happen here. But yeah, the damage on the Karstein Lord's getting pretty real at this point. These bandits of the Silver Road, themselves only getting 300 value, but wow, yeah, Yuan Bo and the archer is able to just finish it off. Yuan Bo moves in with his Executioner ability, and I think that just nuked the Vampire Dragon Lord there. So that is a pretty substantial loss, definitely, but it's not completely gone for the Vampire Counts. They still have a lot of their army left. The balance power honestly just went kind of towards even, which is hilarious. But yeah, White King's getting some good Scav Strath values kind of running around right now, but the archers are just going absolutely nuts here with this War Drum, juicing their reload skill. They've got the support of the Plague of Rust as well. Of course, they've got their regular harmony buffs, so definitely looking pretty good on the fire rate, even only 1 AP per shot. Dragon Lord himself only has like 70 armor, so a little bit late here again on executing the rush. I think the vampires could have just brought the house here a lot earlier rather than trying to do the whole spell-kiting nonsense. So I say spell-kiting, it's not like there was actually kiting involved, really, but anyway, it is Conquest after all. But yeah, you can see here with the Jade Lance is sort of able to countercharge to a degree, especially fighting on the anti-large. These juiced up Peasant long spears, 36 attacks straight up with that extra anti-large. Jade halberds as well are going to be very tough indeed for the vampires to crack. And with that, it's looking pretty good for Olaf here. Despite the foul magics of the vampire counts, fighting them off right now, and definitely crumbling, starting to take its toll, even before all this infantry line gets into combat necessarily. It is sort of grinding down a little bit, and the attrition, you know, you can kind of sometimes do some attrition builds against Cathay, but you don't have, like, what... Yeah, Graveguard Great Weapons I just don't think necessarily trade cost effectively here, especially with all the ranged units potentially involved, and given how we see how tough it is to get rid of Cathay's ranged units, like that leadership and immune to psychology, yeah, from the War Drum is going to be particularly good. And I think, what, the extra leadership from, what is that, Yuan Bo as well? I believe his armor is given that, yeah. So, I mean, you got multiple sources of immune to psychology, multiple sources of leadership, and extra melee attack buffs, reload skill buffs from Harmony and from the drum. It's a lot. It's a powerful build for sure for Cathay. And the spell kiting was definitely a way to try and combat it, but it doesn't seem like it was particularly effective. We'll fast forward to this late game, as it will take some time, I think. I don't know, maybe. Vampires kind of fighting back here. And the vampires are able to kind of pick off this one Jade Lancer here. The other Jade Lancer wisely kind of stays close to the formation. We'll see. A couple of Jade Halberds, rather, with their backs turned, don't really get rear charged. I mean, they're just zombies after all, but yeah, we can see, like I said, the melee potency of the vampire count's just not going to stand up to the quality of the Cathayan infantry here, and slowly just kind of grind down over time. Not the most exciting gameplay. It's one of the reasons why historically not the biggest fan of Undead, but that's okay. Olaf does grind through it and takes pretty minimal losses in the process, honestly. I mean, like I said, the archers, Salinator did his best to try and deal with them at range with spells, but ultimately wasn't successful in doing so. The Von Karstein Lord just taking way too much damage in the process, and I don't know, I guess if you're really active with the micro and trying to dodge as much as possible, you could probably pull something like this off okay. It seems like Flock of Doom maybe has what you need. I just, it's, yeah, it feels kind of bad. Because then you don't really have any way of, like, healing these units, and I know a lot of people really like Vargeist. It is nice to have, like, an armor-piercing flying unit, but I just haven't found them to be wildly effective, and to be honest, your options really here for the vampire counts are not particularly great. Sorry, I just totally skipped over the Cathay value, but it's fine. They all did good. Yeah, so if we think a little bit about the vampire counts here, like, Graveguard with Great Weapons might seem like an appealing option, but they are reasonably expensive, and, I mean, their attack and defense stats at the end of the day are just really not that great. They've got awesome weapon strength. For an undead unit in particular, a nice bonus versus infantry, but even with that, you're looking at, what, like, 39 base attack, which is definitely good, don't get me wrong, but when you're thinking about Cathayan infantry, and especially juiced up with Harmony, they're going to be like in the 40s stats as we saw there, especially with like the drum applied, right? So you got to think about, like, with max Harmony, maybe 4 to 8, depending if like a Lord's running around, or maybe even more. Wait, does it actually go to 150%, or no, just 100%? Okay, so yeah, like maybe up to +8 potentially if you've got one of the dragon siblings around on those. And then of course the War Drum, as we saw, another 8 melee attacks. So, like, even these halberds against the great weapon units, it's just not going to be a super efficient trade because of the stat differential. And vampire counts can take their own passive support buffs, of course. We saw the one corpse cart there with the necromancer. I mean, Unholy Lodestone definitely helps, as does Vigor Mortis, again with the +5/+5 to kind of stack things in your favor. But Still, I mean, you're paying 950 for a unit that's, like, at best gonna maybe trade with a unit that's, like, 650 when all the buffs and everything are applied. And, of course, that's not to mention the range units peppering you, and it's just... It's definitely a tough matchup for Vampire Counts. I'm not saying it's completely unwinnable, but, yeah, definitely got your work cut out for you. Vargheists are very flimsy, and, I mean, Crypt Horrors have some more tankiness, but they also have their own downsides. I mean, they're not necessarily super tanky, especially against even low-tier Cathay archers and stuff. Yeah, I mean, the Cairn race, it's also tricky, because I think, does the drum actually give magic damage in an AoE? I forget. I don't think so. I think maybe they have some other ways of giving magic damage in an AoE. Does maybe the Regiment of Renown has it? Yeah, there we go. So you could always take the Regiment of Renown if you're worried about ethereal units, and that's just basically like a hard counter. And not to mention, there's not actually a ton of Cathayan units that innately do fire damage, or magic damage rather, but there's enough that, like, I don't know, Chroman jumping down even on your like Cairn race. Not going to be a particularly cost-effective trade, and I mean, yeah, the Cairn race do have like 1,000 more HP, so I don't know. That'd be interesting. Maybe I'll do that test sometime. Is that the thing everyone wants to see? Is Cairn race fighting Onyx Chroman? Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We'll leave that for another time. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.